Some women fear the fire. Sigma females become it. They don't bounce back. They rebuild stronger, in silence, without applause. Failure is loud. It hits like a slap, echoes through your self-esteem, and if you let it, it sticks. But there's a rare kind of woman who doesn't flinch when things fall apart. She doesn't crack under pressure, doesn't shrink when life pulls the rug out. She tightens her grip, squares her shoulders, and keeps moving. That's a Sigma female. She's not fearless. She's trained for chaos. This isn't about pretending to be strong or faking positivity. It's about becoming so rooted in who you are, failure can't shake you. You've been through things most people wouldn't talk about out loud. You've had moments where you questioned everything, and still you didn't quit. That's not weakness. That's silent power. Being bulletproof doesn't mean you never fall. It means when you fall, you don't stay there. You get up with more clarity, more grit, and less tolerance for anything that doesn't grow you. So if you're a Sigma female, or growing into one, understand this. Your resilience isn't luck. It's the result of every moment you chose to keep going when no one was watching. The world might not get you, and that's okay. You weren't built to fit in. You were built to rise, especially when it hurts. 1. They've been alone in the fire before, and they didn't burn. You can always spot a Sigma female by the way she walks through life like she's already survived the worst. Because in most cases, she has. She's not tough just for show. She's tough because life gave her no other option. She's been abandoned when she needed support the most. She's had people she loved turn cold, twist the knife, and walk away like she never mattered. And through all of that, she didn't crumble. She didn't beg. She just kept going. This isn't strength you learn from reading self-help books or listening to motivational speeches. This is strength you earn when you're sitting in your room at 2 a.m. trying to make sense of your own pain, and nobody's there to talk you off the edge. It's built in the silence, in the dark, in the moments when you realized no one was coming to save you, so you had to become your own rescue plan. That kind of resilience changes a person. It strips away the need for applause, validation, or pity. It turns pain into power and turns solitude into strategy. Sigma females have cried, raged, doubted themselves, but not once did they let those emotions define them. They might have bent, but they never broke. And here's the truth. Being alone in the fire teaches you what you're really made of. It shows you who you are when there's no one watching. Most people run from that kind of heat. But Sigma females, they face it, they feel it, and then they rise from it, wiser, quieter, stronger. So when failure shows up, it doesn't scare them. Why would it? They've already lived through the kind of pain that would have taken most people out. That's why they're bulletproof. Because fire didn't destroy them. It built them. And now, they carry that fire in their bones. Number 2, they don't take failure as identity, only as feedback. Here's where Sigma females stand apart from the crowd. When something fails, they don't automatically assume they are the failure. That's a big difference. Most people let failure crawl under their skin and settle in like a permanent scar. But not Sigma females. They don't carry it like shame. They dissect it, study it, learn from it. And then they move on. To them, failure is just feedback, not a life sentence. It's a sign that something in the system didn't work, not that they are broken. Maybe the timing was off. Maybe the approach needed adjusting. Maybe the people involved weren't right. But none of that means they are incapable or unworthy. That mindset makes them dangerous, in the best way. Because if you're not afraid to fail, you're free to try. And if you're free to try, you're eventually going to win. Sigma females don't get paralyzed by the fear of looking stupid, being rejected, or making mistakes. They know failure is part of the process, not proof that they should quit. They've failed in relationships, in jobs, in personal goals. But they didn't sit in it and build a home out of disappointment. They took what they needed from the failure, the lesson, and threw the rest away. They didn't replay it on a loop in their minds. They didn't let it rewrite their self-worth. And because of that, they bounce back faster and smarter every time. That's the secret. They separate the situation from their sense of self. They know one bad chapter doesn't make them a bad book, so they keep writing. This is why failure doesn't break them. It informs them. It sharpens them. And the more feedback they collect, the more unstoppable they become. Because while everyone else is busy feeling defeated, Sigma females are already reworking the plan. Number 3. They create private wins before public victories. Before anyone claps for them, before anyone notices their glow-up or praises their strength, Sigma females have already been winning in silence. Long before the world sees a success, they've been showing up for themselves when no one was watching. In the quiet moments, in the discipline, in the battles no one knows about. They're not in it for show. They don't post every move or announce every goal. That's not their style. Their real victories happen behind closed doors, like getting up early to work on themselves, saying no when it's easier to say yes, walking away from things that don't serve them, even if it's painful. These aren't the loud wins. They're the ones that build character, mental strength, and unshakable peace. Sigma females don't wait for motivation or applause. They build routines. They create boundaries. They train their minds. That's the stuff no one sees, but it's also what keeps them solid when life tries to knock them down. While others chase quick results or external validation, Sigma women are busy doing the groundwork. They master their emotions. They train themselves not to react to everything. They study their own patterns, fix what's broken, and protect their energy like it's sacred, because it is. So when they finally rise and people start to notice, it's not luck. It's not random. It's the result of consistent, quiet wins stacked over time. The kind of wins that require no audience, just commitment. And the reason this makes them bulletproof? Simple. Because they didn't build their confidence on public approval. They built it on personal truth. That's why when things fall apart, when the business fails, the relationship ends, or the plans change, they don't collapse. Their foundation isn't shallow. It's built from deep, private victories that no one could ever take from them. That's how Sigma females win, from the inside out. And that's why they never truly lose. Number 4. They expect the worst. But don't fear it. Sigma females don't walk around hoping everything goes perfectly. They know better. Life isn't some smooth ride where everything lines up just because you want it to. That's why they don't just hope for the best. They prepare for the worst. Not out of fear, but out of readiness. They run mental drills all the time. What if I lose this job? What if this relationship ends? What if I have to start over again? They imagine the crash before it happens. Not because they're negative, but because they'd rather meet chaos with a plan than be caught off guard. That's not being dramatic. That's being armed. Emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even financially. While others panic when life hits hard, Sigma females have already been there. In their minds, in their late-night thoughts, in their quiet moments of reflection. They've already walked through the fire in their heads, and they've built strategies around it. So when something actually does go wrong, they don't break down. They shift gears. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being realistic without letting the weight of what if crush you. Sigma females accept that bad things can happen, but they refuse to let those possibilities paralyze them. Instead, they use that knowledge to build mental armor. It's like emotional war games, quiet preparation that makes them calm when others are panicking. And here's the twist. This mindset doesn't make them less hopeful. It makes them stronger, because even when things go right, they're grateful. They've already braced for the storm, so sunshine feels like a bonus, not an expectation. That's why failure rarely knocks them out. They saw it coming. They planned for it. They rehearsed it. So when it arrives, they handle it with a cool head and a steady heart. That's not pessimism. That's power in its rawest, smartest form. Number 5. They know failing is a season, not a life sentence. When something goes wrong, most people spiral. One failure turns into self-doubt, then shame, and suddenly they're questioning their entire life. But Sigma females don't play that game. They don't let one bad season convince them they're doomed forever. To them, failure is a moment, not a definition. It's like bad weather. It might slow things down, it might mess up the plan for a bit, but it always passes. Sigma women know how to zoom out. Instead of obsessing over one setback, they look at the bigger picture. One bad day, one bad month, even one bad year doesn't cancel out the rest of their story. They refuse to catastrophize. If they get knocked down, they don't say, "Why me?" They say, "Okay, what now?" That's a powerful shift, because it keeps them in motion. It keeps them building. And that's the key. They keep building, even when it feels like nothing is working. Sigma females understand that growth isn't always loud or glamorous. Sometimes it looks like showing up with tired eyes and a heavy heart. Sometimes it looks like failing quietly and learning even quieter. But they still show up. They still move. Because they know this. As long as they don't quit, they're not finished. They've learned to ride the low seasons without letting them define who they are. They don't unpack and live in failure. They treat it like a guest. Let it visit, figure out what it's here to teach, and then send it on its way. This mindset makes them emotionally bulletproof. Because while others panic when things don't go according to plan, Sigma females stay calm. They stay focused. They don't tie their identity to success or failure. They tie it to effort, to growth, to truth. And that's why they always find their way back. Because no matter how long the season lasts, Sigma women know one thing. Winter doesn't last forever, and neither does failure. Number 6, they don't confuse setbacks with signals to quit. Sigma females don't see a blocked path and immediately throw in the towel. They don't crumble when the door closes or when life tells them, "Not this way." Instead, they pause, breathe, and pivot, because to them, a setback isn't a red light. It's just a detour sign. They don't waste energy asking, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "Okay, what's the next move?" That shift in mindset changes everything. While others fall apart at the first obstacle, Sigma women stay composed. Not because it doesn't hurt, it does, but because they know pain doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes it just means adjust. They've been through enough to know that smooth roads don't build strong drivers. They've taken wrong turns. They've lost time. They've made mistakes that hurt. But they never let those moments convince them to quit. Instead, they treat each setback like feedback, a nudge to try something else, not a verdict on their worth. They've learned that timing matters, that sometimes the plan has to shift so they can grow into the version of themselves that's actually ready for what they're after. They don't see reroutes as punishment. They see them as protection. And here's what really sets them apart. They don't throw tantrums when life tells them not yet. They don't scream at the sky or chase things that aren't meant for them. They adapt. They revise the blueprint. They build again. Because quitting, that's just not in their wiring. To the Sigma female, the goal doesn't change. The route does. Whether it takes a month or a decade, she stays in the game. Not because it's easy, but because she knows that real wins require staying power. So while others get stuck in frustration, she keeps moving. One pivot, one adjustment, one relentless decision at a time. That's how she makes progress, even when the path disappears. Number 7, they've killed the fear of starting over. For most people, starting over feels like failure. It feels like going backward, like losing everything you worked so hard for. That fear is what keeps them stuck in places they've outgrown, in dead-end jobs, toxic relationships, or routines that drain the life out of them. But Sigma females, they don't think that way. They've killed that fear a long time ago. Starting over isn't something they dread, it's something they own. They've walked away from things that no longer served them, even when it hurt. They've left comfort zones, faced uncertainty, and built themselves back up from nothing more times than most people can imagine. And each time they got stronger, smarter, and sharper. To them, starting over is just part of the process. It's not a reset, it's an upgrade. It means they've outgrown the last version of their life, and now it's time to level up. They don't cry over what's gone, they get busy rebuilding something better. Because here's the thing, Sigma females don't cling to identities, titles, or the illusion of security. They don't stay in situations just because they've invested time. If it's no longer aligned with who they're becoming, they're not afraid to burn it down and start again. Wiser, more focused, and more fearless. This is what makes them dangerous in the best way. Most people can be controlled by the fear of loss. But Sigma women, you can't scare someone who isn't afraid to walk away. You can't break someone who knows how to rebuild. They've mastered the art of the comeback. Starting over doesn't shrink them. It awakens them. It's in the chaos, in the unknown, where they do their best work. That's where their next version is born. So while others avoid change, Sigma females embrace it. And that's why failure never has the last word with them. Because if it all falls apart today, trust she'll be rebuilding by tomorrow. Number 8. They don't ask for permission to reinvent themselves. Sigma females don't need anyone's approval to hit reset. When something no longer serves them, whether it's a job, a relationship, or an old version of themselves, they don't waste time holding on to it just to save face. If the plan fails, they don't cling to it out of pride. They let it burn, rise from the ashes, and start over. Simple as that. While most people hold on to plans and identities that are clearly falling apart because they don't want to admit they were wrong, Sigma females have no issue walking away from what's no longer working. The ego doesn't rule them. They don't need to prove they're right. They need to live true to themselves. And if that means scrapping a plan or letting go of an identity they've outgrown, so be it. It's about freedom. The freedom to evolve without asking anyone for permission. They know the world isn't going to stop for them to catch up. So they make the changes they need, on their own terms. They don't wait for validation from others because they've already given it to themselves. They don't need anyone else's approval to evolve. They're in charge of their own growth, and they don't hesitate to make moves, even if others might question them. What others see as failure, Sigma females see as an opportunity to shed old layers and become even stronger. The thought of reinventing themselves doesn't scare them. It excites them. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a mark of strength. And this doesn't just apply to career choices. It's every part of who they are. When they feel like a shift is necessary, they make it. They create their own path, redesign their own life, and never wait for anyone to tell them it's okay. Reinvention isn't a one-time thing for them, it's a lifestyle. Sigma females don't wait for permission. They give themselves the green light to grow, no matter how many times it takes. Number 9. They stay in control, even when they lose. Sigma females might lose money, they might lose friends, jobs, relationships, or entire life plans. But there's one thing they never lose: themselves. No matter what crashes around them, they stay centered. That's not by accident. That's by design. Most people tie their identity to external stuff: their job title, their relationship status, their bank account. So when those things disappear, they panic, they spiral. But Sigma females are built differently. They don't hand over their emotional power to anything or anyone. They've made peace with the idea that life is unpredictable, and that's exactly why they hold on tightly to the only thing they can control: their response. They don't beg people to stay. They don't lose sleep over what's out of their hands. Sure, they feel the loss. They're not robots, but they don't drown in it. They let it sting, they process it, and then they refocus. The breakup? Painful, but not the end. The financial hit? Tough, but temporary. The dream that didn't work out? Fine. They'll build a better one. Their emotional independence is rare. They don't let failure drag their identity through the mud. They don't say, "I failed, so I am a failure." They say, "Okay, that didn't work. Now what?" That mindset keeps them from becoming victims of their circumstances. This is what makes them bulletproof. Their self-worth isn't up for grabs. You can strip away everything: the job, the friends, the status, and they'll still be standing, centered, grounded, because they don't just have control. They are in control. That's why life can throw whatever it wants at them, and they'll still keep their head. That's why they're hard to break, hard to manipulate, hard to predict. Because when the world gets chaotic, Sigma females don't lose their balance. They become the balance. Number 10. She doesn't compare timelines with others. Most people don't feel like they've failed until they look around and see someone else doing better, or at least looking like they are. Scrolling through highlight reels, watching peers hit milestones, celebrating success after success. It's easy to start thinking you're behind. But Sigma females don't fall into that trap. They've unsubscribed from society's calendar a long time ago. She doesn't compare her journey to anyone else's because she knows it's not a race. It's a custom route, built for her by her. What takes someone 5 years might take her 10 or 2. It doesn't matter. She's not rushing to catch up to some invisible standard. She's not checking boxes just to say she did. She moves at the pace of purpose, not pressure. That mindset protects her, because most failures aren't even real failures. They're just made-up deadlines that people panic over. I should have been married by now. I should have hit that promotion already. Everyone else is buying homes, and I'm still figuring things out. But Sigma females, they know better. They don't measure progress by someone else's clock. They're not counting how many likes their life gets. They're building something that lasts. When you stop comparing timelines, you stop labeling every delay as defeat. And that's what makes her bulletproof. She's not weighed down by other people's expectations. Her self-worth isn't tied to pace or appearance. It's tied to depth, to alignment, to truth. And here's the twist. The more she honors her timing, the more powerful she becomes. Because when you stop racing, you start mastering. While everyone else is burning out trying to keep up, she's planting roots, deep ones, unshakable ones. So when people ask why she isn't worried about being late, the answer is simple. She's not on their timeline. She's on her own. And that's exactly why she never feels like a failure. Number 11. She doesn't ask for support, she becomes her support. Some people fall apart when no one shows up for them. Sigma females? That's when they come alive. They don't wait to be rescued, comforted, or validated. They've learned the hard way that not everyone will understand their journey, and not everyone is meant to walk beside them. So instead of asking for a shoulder to lean on, they build their own. She's the kind of woman who's had moments where there was no one to call, no one checking in, no backup plan. And instead of falling apart, she built something solid inside herself, a kind of emotional infrastructure that doesn't depend on outside applause or approval. That's not bitterness, it's wisdom. She's not anti-support, she just refuses to make it a condition for her survival. What makes her bulletproof isn't that her life is easy, it's not. She gets hit, she gets tired, and yes, she even doubts herself sometimes. But what she won't do is wait around for someone to fix it for her. Her default setting is, figure it out. Her mindset is, get back up. She's learned to self-soothe, to self-encourage, to self-correct. While others look outward for motivation or direction, she looks inward. That's where her strength lives. That's how she keeps moving, even when everything feels heavy. She doesn't need constant reassurance because she's built trust with herself. She knows if everything falls apart, she can rebuild, because she's done it before, and she'll do it again if she has to. That's real power. It's not that she never feels pain or fear, it's that she knows she can carry it without collapsing. She becomes her own safe place, her own backup, her own cheerleader. That's why failure doesn't break her, because even when she's standing alone in the wreckage, she's never truly alone. She's got herself, and that's more than enough. Conclusion. Why Sigma females are bulletproof from failure. When you look at a Sigma female, you're looking at someone who's been through the fire and come out the other side with a deeper understanding of herself and the world around her. Failure doesn't break her because she's not afraid of it. She's learned to embrace it, study it, and grow from it. What makes her bulletproof isn't some magical immunity to pain or hardship. It's her unshakable belief in her own ability to navigate the storm. She doesn't get lost in the fear of failure because she's already imagined the worst and planned for it. She doesn't depend on validation from others because her worth comes from within. And she doesn't wait for anyone's permission to reinvent herself when the old version no longer serves her. Failure doesn't define her. It doesn't become a permanent mark on her identity. It's a stepping stone, a lesson, and a chance to come back stronger. When others crumble under the weight of their setbacks, she builds. She takes the lessons from every heartbreak, every mistake, and uses them to fuel her growth. So if you're watching this and wondering if you could ever become bulletproof like her, remember this. You already have everything you need. The resilience, the wisdom, the strength to rise again. Embrace failure, learn from it, and watch yourself transform into someone who can't be knocked down.